Welcome back. So I want to actually handle errors here in my code. So I want to be able to tell whoever is using my user service that if they create a user, I want to tell them what errors happened. But there's a problem here because we actually are calling something asynchronously, waiting for a reply, then we're calling something else, and actually we're also waiting for a reply there. So where should we need to catch the error two places, we need to return different errors depending on what is actually going on wrong. It's just not easy to handle it the way we've designed our create user right now. So let's change that. Let's make a version 2 of that where we can actually return piece of information depending on what errors we're getting back. Maybe we get an error when we create the actual authentication user. Maybe we get an error when we actually create the user. There might be validation that we hit right here, stuff like that. So we're going to try and split this into another type of return we can actually start subscribing to, just like within Observable. So what I did is I made a new function for the create user, and there we return what we call a ReplaySubject. This is a pretty awesome thing where you can execute one thing and return one reply to whoever is listening, and you can add some kind of data to that reply, right? So this is a way for me to now subscribe to create user, and then at some point I'll get a reply from that one. And in that reply there'll either be right now a user because everything went well, or an error. And it doesn't matter where I actually hit this, it'll actually return a reply subject to me no matter what happens. So let me try and explain the code here. We still just send in a user just like we did in the old code, and then we create this result subject that just returns one reply right now. We create the app like we did in the other code just to get figure this hack that we figured out last time. And then what we actually do is we say create the email and password .then, just like we did before as well. And then we get some kind of authentication guy back, but now we can go inside this part. Notice there's nothing changed yet. It's exactly the same that you have right here. So nothing has changed yet. But we can say now, when we actually create the user, when he's created, then return the result to whoever is listening with to this observable right here, right? But if you catch an error here, then return an error to whoever is listening. And if you catch an error here, then return that error, right? So now we actually split out our code saying that we're always going to return a result to whoever is listening, and depends on how the calls will go. The problem starts because we have two asynchronous calls in the same request here. We need to both do create user and create auth user and create user, but we still want to send back to whoever is listening, it went well, here's the user, or it went bad with the create user, here's the error for that, or it went bad with the create auth user, here's the problem for that. I hope that makes sense. So this is kind of the version 2 that I built, and next lesson we're going to try and implement that through the system so we can actually get validations to our form saying the email address already existed, something happened on the back end when you try to create a user, try again, I don't know. Now we can actually get replies back from our create user. We couldn't do that in the old one. So this is refactoring to actually start returning the errors that could happen when we want to talk to Firebase. See you in the next lesson where we'll start implementing this through the stack and actually show it in the create user form. Have fun.